All right. Good morning, everybody. So, welcome to class. So, I think I did post, the first quiz that we have. I did post it on Brightspace, right? So when I did that practice quiz, right, for everybody to see how to do that, I think, let me see how many people did that. You see, only 2 people did that, right? So basically only 2 people as of right now know how to submit the quiz. Okay, so the quiz right here, when you go to quizzes, you see quiz number 1 is going to be available after class today until September the 16th, until Thursday at noon. Okay, the quiz is going to be available right after class, 12:30, until September 16 at noon. Okay, so when you click on the quiz right here, you click on it. Unfortunately, with Brightspace, it doesn't show me. Okay, let me see the preview. You see that? Okay. That's a preview right there. Okay, that's a quiz. When you click on it, this is what you see. So when you start, you're going to see a PDF file, right? We start the quiz, you're going to see a PDF file, and then you print that file, or it is where you have the questions on that file. And then when you take a separate paper, if you don't have a printer, it's okay. You take a separate piece of paper where you write your name, and you write question number 1, and you answer to it. Question number 2, you answer to it, etc., right? If you do 2 papers, it's okay. When you finish, you scan them, you get a PDF file that you're going to save in your device, right? And then you come to assignments here, where you see the submit your quiz 1 here. This is where you submit your file, right? The quiz tab is just for you to see the quiz. You will have 30 minutes. You see, by the time you open the quiz, I will know what is the time everybody opens the quiz. And the time of your assignment, it should be no more than, after you're done, it should be no more than 35 minutes, okay?
I have a question about the practice quiz.
Yes.
In the little answer box below the PDF, are we supposed to type anything, or do we just submit the quiz as is?
Yeah, you don't type nothing. I said if you want, you can write whatever you want in it, right? Because, my goal is just for students, you can write only your name if you want to. My name is, that's it. My goal was for the student, for you guys to know how to scan that, to get a PDF file, and then to submit that, right? Okay, but there is no questions on it. You can write a little bit about, whatever you want to share in math about it, just for you to see how I'm gonna scan that. You see, when I saw here, when I go here, a couple of students did that. You see, right? So that is good. A couple of students did that. That is the first, that is the first stuff, right? Etc. So I encourage you, because once the quiz is gonna be open 12:30 today, you will have until Thursday noon to submit the quiz. After that, everybody that I don't have the submission of, I will give them 0. You don't send it to me. You don't send it to my email. You have to submit the quiz on Brightspace, right? You have to submit there. So
for the quiz that you're talking about that's due on Thursday, is that the practice quiz and the regular quiz, or just
the practice quiz? The practice quiz is a regular quiz. That's going to be, it's going to be open right after class at 12:30. You're going to be able to see it. You see, this is quiz number 1 here, right here, quiz 1. Available on September 14th at 12:30. And this is going to be available until September the 16th.
Professor, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I missed you what you said. I tried to open the practice quiz, but there was no question over there.
No, there is no question. Like this is exactly what I said. There was no question. It's not like a practice math. I didn't post it for the math. I posted the practice quiz for you to know how to submit a quiz. That is the goal. There is even no question on it. Okay.
Oh, so we're just like writing something and then
Yeah,
just
you see right here. When you go, you see right here. Okay, let me preview that. You do this. You start the practice. This is a practice quiz. You start it right here. What you see? You see the PDF file, right? Okay, everybody. You see the PDF file. It is a PDF file. Hello, this is just a practice quiz, and the goal for you is to be able to submit on Brightspace. Log on to Brightspace, go to quiz, click on practice quiz, etc. You have 30 minutes to submit your work. Please print this paper or take a loose paper, write your name on it, etc., right? You see, let's say I took it. Let's say I wrote my name on it, right? Let's say I wrote my name here on a paper, right? What I do, I take my device right here, and me, I have an app. You see this app right here? App, right? I have this app right here that allows me to scan papers. You see, let me scan my paper right here. I have my paper now. I'm gonna save it on my device or send it to myself right here. Right? So I sent it to myself. Okay. I go to my email where I sent it. Right. So, yeah, you see, it's right here. This is my documents right here.
Is on.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody, can you please mute yourself? It's like noisy. Everybody, can you please mute? Thank you. So right here, I have the documents I just scanned right now. This is my document I just scanned right now. I save it to my device. Practice quiz. Oh, right. I save it. Now I have it on my computer. What do you do? I go to my stuff right here. You see, I go to my assignments. Because this one does not allow you to put right here, it doesn't allow you to put files. You see, on the quiz, unfortunately, it doesn't allow you to put files here. If it did allow you, then we would just put, it doesn't, since it doesn't allow me, I go here, assignments, I go to submit your practice quiz. And then you see, I'm not a student, so I cannot. I'm not a student, then I cannot. So I cannot submit myself because I'm not a student. Okay. Assignments. Let me see. I have some preview here. These submissions is the assignment. You see, I don't see the same menu you see. But as a student, when you go to assignments, right, you're going to see submit your practice quiz here, and then you upload the file exactly I got, right? Okay, so that is quiz number 1. So if really somebody got a problems to really submit it on Brightspace, that is like the last minute stuff, then I will allow you to send it to me, to my email address, right? Only after you try. Yeah, go ahead, Noel.
I was just maybe a few minutes late. So you're saying we have a quiz, a practice quiz that's due on the 17th, and then the actual, or wait.
Yeah, I mean, the practice quiz, there is no, it doesn't make no sense to make it like available until the 17th, because the goal of the practice quiz is for you to practice how to submit your work for the quiz, the actual quiz, right? The actual quiz is this one right here, quiz number 1. It's going to be only available, quiz number 1 is only available until the 16th, not the 17th. Okay? Right here, this is quiz number 1.
Mm-hmm.
The quiz number 1 is only available until, everybody see that? No? Okay. The quiz number 1, you see available until the 16th, Thursday at 12 o'clock. By Thursday at 12 o'clock, everybody had to submit their work, okay? And I like that, I like you to submit your work on Brightspace, right? That is why I posted the practice quiz, which has no questions whatsoever, right? It's just for you to know how to submit your work, okay? So, all right, that was, the practice quiz was posted like 5 days ago. I hope, everybody gonna try that, but only 3 people tried it. So it's unfortunate, right? When we do that is for students to practice, is for a purpose, not to wait until the day of the quiz and then to ask questions, you see.
Is there a free app in order to scan from your device?
Yes, a scannable app. You see, it's called Scannable. And
I went
also
to
the
Scannable and
Acrobat,
it was-
let me write it down. It's Scannable app.
I went to Scannable, but it wasn't free.
It wasn't free?
No, I downloaded it to my phone just now.
I mean, it was free, but when maybe it's a pro version, maybe.
Let me see if I can.
Yeah, maybe it's a pro version you got. But me, when I got it, was free. This app, and also Acrobat also.
Can you
Acrobat.
go back to where the quiz on the?
Yes, go ahead.
Where is it?
What?
Where do I?
The
Where do I find that?
what?
The practice quiz and the quiz.
Yeah, when you go to Brightspace, you go to Brightspace and you click on, the quiz is right here.
Oh, quizzes. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we have to keep going, right? We have to go, Sorry. Okay, so we were solving some equations, so we have to continue that. So let me put some equations here to solve. All right, so the number 20 6b squared plus 7b, equal to 5 plus 7b. And then let me put another one. All right, so we have 2 equations. Okay. So we have 2 equations. We're going to practice them before we move on. Remember last time, this is where we were at, how to solve equations by factoring, right? Do you remember that? So if you want to solve by factoring, you guys know we have to have what on one side?
Is 0?
We have to have 0 on one side, okay? We cannot start factoring until we get 0 on one side. So I want everybody to try the first example right there, solve by factoring. And then when you're done, you try the second one. All right, so, I'm not gonna let you about 5 minutes, or a little bit more about, 8 minutes for everybody. Try to do the first one, try to do the second one. You try to get 0 on one side, right? For both of them.
Were there
Right.
points for, oh,
Yeah, go
were
ahead.
there points for that practice quiz? But also, did you tell us?
No. I mean, there's no point. It's
Yeah,
not,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So
it's
we
just,
know.
yeah, there's no credit, there's no point. It's just, you know, I don't know how familiar everybody is with Brightspace. That is why we wanted the students to, you know, to see how an official quiz is. That is the reason
Right.
I posted it like about a week ago, you know. But,
Did
you know,
you
like I
have-
said, only 3 people tried it, you know, only 3 people submitted their work up to right now. So now if everybody else knows how it goes, you don't have to do that. If you know how to, if you know how to do that, you don't have to do the practice quiz to know how to submit.
I was just wondering if you had said something during the class and I missed it. I mean, obviously, I know we should be looking, you know, assignments, content quizzes, da 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 da. Did I
Yeah,
just
I mean,
miss?
yeah, the communication, last time we met, I said, I'm gonna post a little practice quiz on Brightspace. Last time we met, I said that. And then maybe the next day or a couple of days after, I did post it. And then it was an assignment, you know, it was on Brightspace. But, you know, if you don't go to Brightspace, this is a virtual class, right? And whether it was a face-to-face class or a virtual class, time to time you have to go to Brightspace, especially for the quizzes, etc., right? You know, the announcement, you know, the announcements, all that. I can do an announcement for the whole class on Brightspace about something. So if you have time to time, you can log on to that just to see, you know, eventually. All right. So
I don't want to take up any more class time, but I think I want to meet with you after just to go through it because I did download the Adobe Acrobat, blah, blah,
okay.
blah. Talk to you
Okay,
later.
right after class, we can talk about it. But I have another class on top of that, but we can talk about it like about, you know, maybe 5 minutes or something like that. Okay. Right after class. Okay, so somebody wanna walk us through the steps for the first one? What they did? Somebody?
I can do it.
Okay, go ahead, Annette.
Okay, so you want to get 0 on one side, so you want
Yes.
to subtract 5 and 7b from one side.
Thank you very much.
So we
5,
did
I'm sure 7b.
6b
5.
squared minus 7b minus 5 equals 0.
Exactly. So we get 6b squared minus 7b minus 5 in that order, because that order is simpler, right? Thank you. After that, what you did now?
Then you factor that
Okay.
by the AC method.
Thank you very much. You see, now use the AC method by factoring to factor, right? Okay, for the AC method, you did first what?
Multiply 6 times negative 5,
Yep, which is?
negative 30.
Uh-huh.
And the factors of negative 30 to get to 7 would be negative 10 and positive 3. So you would have 6b squared
That's
minus
right.
10b plus 3b
Uh-huh.
minus 5
Minus 5, yep.
equals 0.
That is correct. And now you did by
Grouping, factored by
By
grouping.
grouping.
So take the 2b out and have 2b times 3b minus 5.
3b minus 5, exactly, that is correct, you see.
And then
Because,
1 and 3b minus 5.
And then here, since we don't have other GCF other than 1, we put 1 out, it's going to be 1, 3b minus 5, right?
Right.
Equals 0.
0.
And finally, you get
3b minus 5
Uh-huh.
and
Yes.
2b plus 1
2b plus 1.
equals
Exactly.
0.
Equals 0.
Right.
So let me see if I can slide the other one a little bit right here. Yes. Okay, so now after that, now that you have your factoring now complete, Now, what did you do next?
3b minus 5 equals 0,
Yes, 3b minus 5 equals 0, or?
or 2b plus 1 equals 0.
Exactly, right? So now what you do now for the
So
first
you
one?
have to- You add 5 to both sides, so 3b would equal 5.
Exactly, we add 5 to both sides, we get 3b equal to 5, and then what you do last?
You divide by 3.
Divide by 3, thank you very much. We get b equal to 5/3. That's the last answer. And this one, what you did, the one on the right side?
So you would need to subtract the 1 from both sides. So 2b would equal -1.
Yep, and then you?
Divide by 2.
Yep, thank you, Annette. That, that is exactly the steps, we need to take to do that one right here. Get 0 on one side, and then do the factoring. Now, the factoring could be about the AC method. It could be about something else, right? You see? So another, the next one, at least visually, at least we might think this one might be longer. Maybe not, you see? Maybe not. Who's gonna walk me through the step for this one? Somebody.
I can do
Peggy,
it.
go
Yeah.
ahead.
I of course wrote it out, and then I to get a 0 on one side, I subtracted 7x from this side. It's the other side.
Yep.
Which makes 0.
Yep. So we get. So let's like let's add the next step. You see, Peggy is subtracting 7x from both sides. We get 9x squared minus 46 is equal to 8x squared plus 3. Thank you. Now what you did next now?
I subtracted 3 from both sides.
Subtracted 3 from both sides, right? So we get 9x squared minus 49 equal to 0. 8x squared, I'm sorry.
And then I subtracted 8x squared.
Exactly.
9x squared.
Thank you very much. 8x squared from both sides. So we get these two cancel out. So we get x squared minus 49 equal to
0.
0.
So
now
then
comes the factoring time. Now, how you factor this?
I did the parentheses. It's like, and I put x minus 7.
Yep.
A parentheses again, x plus 7.
Yep.
And equals 0.
Equals 0. Exactly. Thank you. You see, because this is a squared minus b squared, right? Okay, this is a squared minus b squared. You see, at the beginning, we might think this one was harder, but actually this one was easier to factor than the other one, right? Okay, now what's are the last steps now?
I do x minus 7 equals 0.
Yep.
And then
or what?
Or x plus 7 equals 0.
That's right. And then?
And on the first one, I add 7 to both sides, which means x equals 7.
Yep.
And or x minus minus the 7, which means x equals minus 7.
Thank you very much. These are two complete ways, this we have all the necessary steps. That is very good, on the test, of course, this is a type of rigor we expect from students, right? To have all the steps. We can do mistakes, right? Mistakes do happen. But when I see that, when I see all these steps, laid down, I'm very happy. I say, okay, this is really what you want, right? Okay, so now always in that practice, always, we're gonna go to see maybe one application problem, right? So let me see, we got application problems right here. All right, so let me see the second one. All right, so I know we don't like, in general, myself and a lot of students don't like word problems, right? When you say word problems, ooh, that's very hard. But you know, it is not. The math in general, the math in the word problems, in general, the math is easy. Okay, it's like, you know, something going on. We don't like to see all these sentences when it comes to math, right? But we have to apply math, you know. We don't do math just, you know, for people to show off. No, math is done to be applied, okay? Every single math in the world is done to be applied, okay? It is not done in the vacuum, you see? Even the most abstract mathematics, even those math that are really abstract, they are done to be applied somewhere. In physics, in engineering, in biology, in medicine, whatever, you know, in electronics. So that is why time to time, we have to have some application problems, okay? This one is pretty much simple. What is about, you know, basically, say an explosion causes debris to fly vertically upward, right? You know, there's some type of explosion, and then we have a debris right here. This is a debris right here, okay? And the debris goes like this, up, and then they come down, right? And this is the ground, okay? Okay, since the trajectory, look at the trajectory, look like what type of graph? Somebody recognizes this type of graph in math? What name you call them?
It's a quadratic curve.
That is a quadratic curve. Thank you very much. You see, that is a quadratic curve. That is a parabola, right? So since it is a parabola, it's not shocking in physics. It is not shocking to describe that trajectory as a quadratic equation. Now, we do find what is the height as a function of the time. You know, initially the debris was here, and then it goes up. As it goes up, we measure the height. H is the height of the debris in feet. Okay? And the T is a time, right? In seconds. Okay? These equations that you see here between the height and the time, this equation comes straight from physics, okay? But we are not here to investigate where the equation comes from. We are not here to do that. But if you do little physics, you're gonna see that this equation comes from there, okay? 16 here is the half of the gravity, okay? The gravity is 32. What is the gravity? Is 9.8, right? But 9.8, the gravity 9.8 is in the international unit, right? In the US unit, like feet per second, the gravity is about 32, okay? 32 feet per second square. So that is, this equation comes straight from physics, but we are not interested in that. But what it's saying here, after T seconds of the explosion, the height of the debris is given by H equal negative 16T squared plus 80T, okay? That is the equation given to me. It's telling me the height after T seconds the height is equal to negative 16 T squared plus 80T, right? So for instance, if somebody asks you, what is the height after 3 seconds, what you do to answer to that question? That isn't the question we are asking here. But if I just ask you another question, I tell you, what was the height of the debris after 3 seconds? What you do to answer to that? Somebody.
Plug in 3 where the T is.
Exactly. You plug in 3 where the T is, because 3 is in seconds, right? When I say, what was the height after 3 seconds? You take 3, you put 3 everywhere you see T, right? Okay. What was the height of the debris after 10 seconds? You do that, you do the same by replacing 10, etc., etc. But that is not the question. The question is, how long does it take for the debris to hit the ground? You see, that is the question right here. How long does it take? How long does it take for the debris to hit the ground? Every time we say how long, what are we asking about?
Time.
When t is 0, I think in this
Time,
case.
right?
I mean, sorry.
Every time we say
when t is
how
0.
long, we are asking about the time, right? What is the time that is going to take for the debris to hit the ground, right? So here, I'm asking about the t here. The question is, what is t? Hit the ground now. If at the ground, how much is the height of the ground? If something is on the ground, how much is the height of that thing?
0.
0. Thank you very much. Right? Everybody agrees with that? If you are on the ground, exactly on the ground, the height is 0, right? You see, hit the ground here, which means here the height is 0. What variable represents the height?
H.
H. So the question is, what is the t if h equal to what? 0, right? What is t if h equals 0? That is the question. Now, what am I going to do in the equation? What am I going to do in the equation? I'm going to, the equation h equal negative 16t squared plus h 80t. What I'm going to do?
Change the H to 0.
Thank you very much. I'm going to substitute right here, right? I'm going to say 0 for h equal to negative 16t squared plus 80t. And now I'm going to solve this right here. You see? Now I'm going to leave it to you. I'm going to leave you to solve this, you know. Do you have 0 on one side?
Yes.
So what next step? Since we have 0 on one side, what is the next step? The next step would
Using
be
the 0 factor.
to factor. Thank you. I have 0 on one side. My next step now would be to factor. Go ahead. I leave you like 1 minute. Everybody try to factor this. Negative 16t squared plus 80t. How are you going to factor that? Everybody try to factor that. Now, you know, now factoring now, you have a toolbox, okay, in which you have all the factoring methods, okay? And you look at, you know, you look what tool am I going to use to factor that?
The GCF, it's negative 16 and 80 can both be divided by 8.
Thank you very much. So the GCF, right? But you have to exactly find the right GCF, okay? The GCF method is a good one. What is the right GCF here? You said
8t.
you said, is it only 8?
Wait, whoops, just kidding.
16.
16, right? 8 is good, but 8 isn't the biggest one. 16 goes, right? Is it only 16 also?
T.
6t.
16t. Now you have the choice now. If you want to, you can factor 16t, or if you want to, you can factor what? If you want,
Negative.
you can factor, exactly. Thank you, Anna. If you want to, you can factor 16t, or if you want to, you can factor negative 16t. Same thing, right? It doesn't change nothing. Okay, what do you prefer? Majority, I mean, those who are going to tell me, I'm going to go with them. What do you prefer, 16t or negative 16t?
Negative 16t.
Negative. Let's go with negative 16c. It's gonna help us, you know, it's gonna allow it's gonna help us to review a little bit. So negative 16t, we get negative 16t, parentheses, again, negative 16t, negative 16t, right? These two cancel out, and we get t here, and the plus divided by the minus is a minus here. How much is 80 divided by 16?
65.
It's 5, thank you. So we have 0 equal to this, negative 16t, parentheses t minus 5. All right, and then we have to solve that. You see, now we have we have our factoring now. Now we have to solve it. Okay. By solving, we have to set. Okay, I'm gonna let you, like, you know, everybody think about that. You know, I'm gonna see what everybody gonna do. What is the next? Now we factored. Now we are good. Now we're gonna do the next step. Go ahead. 30 seconds. Everybody think about it. All right, so what are the solutions you got? Somebody tell me the solution you got. Go ahead.
I'm not 100% sure about mine, but I'll tell you, I did negative 16t equals 0, or t plus 5 equals 0,
or t minus 5 equals 0, right?
and minus 5.
Okay.
So I divided negative 16 by negative 16. And on the other side, it equals 0.
Yep. So we divide by negative 16 on the left side, right? And we divide by negative 16 on the right side, right? When we divide 0 by any number, what you get anyway?
0.
T equals 0, right? And here plus 5, here plus 5, right? We get t equal to 5 seconds, right? And here 0 seconds. Somebody explain to me why we get 0 as an answer also. These 0 seconds correspond to what? Can somebody tell me?
As 0 seconds corresponds to before the debris is launched.
Exactly, right before the explosion. Where was the debris? They were on the ground, right? Okay, that is a 0 second. So, but since my question is how long is going to take for the debris to come to ground, my answer will be this one right here, okay? But we understand where the 0 second come from. The 0 second come from right before the explosion, right? But that's going to be my answer. That's 5 seconds. Okay, so this is just an example of an application problem, all right? So as of today, as of right now, we done with all the chapter 1, right? Okay, This is what is about chapter 1. If you know how to factor, you are good for chapter 1, okay? You see on the quiz right here, also it's gonna be factor, factor, factor. I think on the quiz, like 5 questions on the quiz, you know, all of them factor, 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 factor. If you know the methods that we developed in this class for the factoring, you know the GCF, you know by grouping, you know the AC method, you know the difference of squares, you know, basically if you know them, you are good for chapter 1, right? Now, if you are struggling with them now, this is where you need help, okay, before the test, okay? If you find yourself, when you do the assignments, when you try to do the assignment, if you find yourself struggling to do the factoring stuff, then you have to reach out to me and you have to come for help, okay? Before we do the test, all right? Okay. Somebody has questions about this before we move on? All right. So now let's open up chapter 2. The chapter 2 in this class is rational expressions and equations. That is chapter 2. Rational expressions and equations. Okay, so 2.1 is how to reduce rational expressions. Reducing rational expressions. Okay, so basically we're gonna a little bit, go a little bit more than what we did so far, because now what you're gonna work with is something, we're gonna work with fractions basically, okay? We're gonna see fractions. A rational expression is an expression that we, in general, we have a numerator and a denominator, right? You see, we have a polynomial at the top, we have a polynomial at the bottom. That is a rational expression. For instance, when we say x squared minus 2x plus 1, and when we say over x cubed plus 5x, see, this is a rational expression, okay? Because on the numerator we have a polynomial. On the denominator we have a polynomial. This is a rational expression, right? If we say 2x plus 1 divided by 8, this is a rational expression also, okay? If we say a minus b divided by a plus b, this is a rational expression, right? If we say 7 over 5, this is also a rational expression. All of them are rational expressions, all right? So this chapter, is fair to say, this chapter will be a little bit harder than the other one, but it's gonna lean heavily on the other one, okay? And you're gonna see, chapter 2 will be a lot about factoring also, right? So that is why we're gonna do a lot of factoring again. So all these are rational expressions. Okay, so now, so let's say, for instance, we have excluded values. So let's say we have this example. So we have the expression 2x plus 1 divided by x minus 3. All right. Can you evaluate this expression if I'm going to give two values, if x equals 5 and if x equals 3. Go ahead, evaluate the expression. How much is this expression when x is equal 5 and when x is equal 3? Go ahead. When x equals 5 and when x equals 3.
Is the first one 11/2?
The first one is 11/2.
And
should
the
be-
second one isn't possible because then you'd have a 0 in the denominator.
Thank you very much. That is exactly right. So the first one here, we substitute 5 for x, right? We get 2 times 5 plus 1 divided by 5 minus 3, right? And then we do the math. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11, and then divided by 2. That's it. The second one, we do the same. We do 2 times 3 plus 1 divided by 3 minus 3, right? So we get 6 plus 1, which is 7, over 3, I mean over 0. But since this is undefined, so we say 3 is an excluded value. So we say 3 is an excluded value.
Oh, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Do you want it to be simplified?
Okay, the 11/2? Yeah, you can leave it like that.
Leave it like that?
Yeah, you can leave it like that. So 3 is an excluded value, okay? You see, what do we call an excluded value? An excluded value is the value for which the expression is undefined, right? Excluded value is the value for which the expression is undefined, right? So excluded value, the value for which the expression is undefined. And when that happens, when the denominator is equal to what? 0. Every value that makes your denominator equal 0 is an excluded value, okay? So in order to answer to that, you have to take the denominator and set it to 0. And whatever solution you have, this is the excluded value, okay? So for instance, if I say, find the excluded values or in my open math, you can say, or find values of x for which the expression is undefined, these two questions are the same, okay? These two questions are the same. If we say this, the first example, if we say x minus 5 divided by x plus 7. To answer to this question, where my focus is at, do I focus on the numerator or do I focus on the denominator?
Denominator.
Denominator. Do I even care about the numerator to answer to this question?
No.
I even don't care about the numerator, right? To answer to this question, what I do, I set x plus 7 equals 0 and solve, right? Okay. Of course, this one is very easy to solve. So we get x equal -7. But don't be mistaken. These questions, they can be easy if the denominator is easy. They can be very hard if the denominator is very hard, right? No telling. Okay. They can be very easy or they can be very hard. Okay, let's go ahead, do these two right here. What are the excluded values for these two expressions? Meanwhile, you can write your name. Basically, you write your name on the chart for the attendance. Like I said, if you don't write your name, even if you are logged in, if you don't write your name, I don't count you as, attending the class. Like I said, it's very, very important, to really participate in the class, right? I mean, you don't have to talk every time. You don't have to do this. But I really appreciate those people who are, animating the class. You see, this is making it alive. Okay. If it was a face-to-face class, then I would, basically, whether somebody wants it or not, we're gonna everybody's gonna participate. But it's very important always, in math, when we do math, to be focused the whole time.
So, sorry, what was X for these that we're plugging in?
No, we're not plugging any X here. We are asking, the question is this: find the values, find the excluded values. Basically, what are the values of X that make each denominator equal to 0? Okay. You see, look at the first example. To answer to that, look at the first example. What we did, we set up the denominator 0 and we solved it, right? So basically, you have to do the same. You have to set up the denominator to 0 and then you solve. Okay. Whatever is the denominator, you have to set it to 0 and solve the equation. All right, so the first one, what do you have to set to 0? We have to set these two 0, right? All right. Somebody got the excluded value here? What solution? What answer you got?
9/5.
9/5. Thank you. What did you do first to get that answer?
Add 9 on both sides.
Thank you. Add 9 on both sides, right? We get 5x equal to 9. And then what you did next?
Divide both sides by 5.
Divide both sides by 5. Thank you. You see, 9/5, 9/5 is the excluded value, which means when you plug in 9/5 for x in both numerator and denominator, you will have something that is undefined, right? Okay. For the second one, who got the answers? Who got the solutions? You know, you have to set this to 0. X squared plus 4x minus 21 equals 0, right? What answers do you get? Somebody.
I got +3 or -7.
+3 or -7,
7.
right? Everybody agree with that?
Yep.
You see, can we factor this one? Now that we have 0, can we factor it? How do you factor this one? X squared plus 4x minus 21. How do you factor it?
AC method.
The
X
AC
minus
method is a long version here. Since we have one in front, right? Since we have one in front, we're just going to be looking for two numbers that add up to what?
4.
4 that multiply to negative 21, right? What are they?
7 and -3.
Exactly, x plus 7, x minus 3 equals 0. Now you go ahead, you see, now we have factored now. You said x plus 7 equals 0, x minus 3 equals 0. You subtract 7, so you get x equals -7. And here you add 3, so x equals +3. These are the excluded values, which means if you plug in each one of them here, if you plug in each one of them, you will have undefined, right? Okay? Your expression will be undefined. All right. After that, we will see, at least we will start to see how to reduce fractions. Okay? Simplifying or reducing rational expressions. All right, so we know that if you have a fraction like this, if you have A, B here, and you have the same factor at the top and at the bottom, what can you do? If you have something that looks like this, what can we do?
Cross them out.
Subtract them.
Cross the C's, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You can simplify. This is what you call simplifying, right? You cross the numbers, so you get A over B, right? Of course, here we cannot simplify by 0 if C is not 0, right? That is how we reduce fractions. For instance, you have 8/6. How you reduce 8/6? You say 8 is 2 times 4, 6 is 2 times 3, right? And then you reduce, right? Okay, so you have to factor each one of them. You say 8 is 2 times 4, 6 is 2 times 3, and you have this, and then you say 4/3, right? Okay. Of course, you know, we do it monthly, right? We do the step monthly. The only stuff we can cross out are the common factors, right? These are the only stuff we can cross out. We cannot cross out, you know, numbers like that. So for instance, if you have this, if you have 7 plus 2 here, and 9 plus 2 here. Can we cross out the 2's here? We cannot, right? Only if they are factor, only if they are multiplication, right? If it's addition, we cannot just go ahead and cross the 2's here, right? You know, that is not, we cannot do that, right? Okay, so now, of course, now, when we do, we're gonna see the first examples before the end of the class, right? 21x squared divided by 18x. How to simplify that? Simplify 21x squared divided by 18x. All right. So 21 and 18, can we reduce by something? Do you have a common factor?
The X.
Yeah, the X is a common factor, of course. Thank you. And for the numbers 21 and 18, what number we can reduce them by? You can simplify by what? By 3, right? 21 is 7 times 3. 18 is 6 times 3. So when you reduce by 3, this one is left is 7 left, this one 6 left. So we have 7 over 6. Now x squared divided by x, right? Remember the rule, when you divide exponents, you just subtract, right? This exponent here is 1. 2 minus 1 is 1, right? It's going to be x to the 1 power. Okay? (32) x cubed divided by 8x to the 4th.
Maybe 4 over 1.
Divided by 8x to the 4th. Okay, so you said, of course, 32 divided by 8, how much is that?
4.
It is 4, right? Thank you. Okay, now the x's now. Remember, you have to subtract, right? But usually, we're going to subtract the small one from the big one, right? The smallest exponent from the big exponent. When you do 4 minus 3, because 4 is the highest exponent, when you do 4 minus 3, where are you going to put your answer? At the top or at the bottom?
Denominator.
The denominator, thank you. Every time you put one exponent minus another exponent, you should put your answer where the big one is, right? Okay, so here is 4 minus 3 is 1, so I get x here, right? X to the 1 power. Okay, if I did 3 minus 1, 3 minus 4, then I have to put it at the top, right? Which is, for instance, right here, look, everybody, when you do x to the 9 divided by x to the 6, and here you put x to the 7th divided by x to the 10. How are you going to simplify these two?
Does the positive exponents go in the numerator and the negative in the denominator?
The positive exponents, you know, whatever the positive exponent you have, we always prefer to have a positive exponent anyway, right? We prefer to have a positive exponent. Of course, to get a positive exponent, you have to do the big one minus the small one, right? And when you do the big one minus the small one, your answer should be where the big one is at, right? Okay, for instance, here's the first example. What is the biggest exponent?
9.
9, right? When you do 9 minus 6,
3.
it's 3. Where you're going to have the x cubed? You're going to have it at the top or at the bottom?
At the top.
Where the 9 was at, right? You see? When I do 9 minus 6, which is logical, I get 3. X cubed, I have to put it where the 9 was, is x cubed right here. And at the bottom, I have nothing, okay? It's x cubed over 1, okay? But here, who is the big one now?
The 10.
The 10. When I do 10 minus 7, I get also 3, right? Where I should put the x cubed now?
The denominator.
At the denominator, because the big exponent was as a denominator, right? I have to put x cubed here. What I have at the top then?
1.
Exactly. Okay, so these are the easiest ways to simplify, all right? Of course, you know, the goal here, is the goal that? No, the goal is not that, right? The goal is to simplify something where we have to do some factoring. For instance, here, 18m minus 24 divided by 60. 18m minus 24 divided by 60. You see here, before I go ahead and simplify whatever I can simplify, I have to factor first. Okay? Every time you have to factor if necessary, right? Every time you have to factor. These are the steps. Factor numerator and denominator if necessary, right? And then second, simplify. Common factors, right? Okay, here the denominator is 60. I don't need to factor 60, right? It is just a single number. But the numerator, how we factor the numerator here? What method are we going to go with?
6.
GCF.
6, right? Which is the GCF. Thank you. Okay. The GCF is 6. I put 6 here. Parentheses. How much left? We divide by 6. Divide by 6. We have 3m minus
4.
4. All over 60. See, now I can go ahead and simplify the common factors. Okay. Now I can go ahead and simplify the common factors, right? For example, here, I have 6 here. I have 6 here at the bottom. I can go ahead and simplify them. All right. When we divide by 6 here is 1, and here by 6 we get 10, right? This is 3m minus 4 all over 10. Okay, but my work, do you think this simplification is done? Can't we do something more, a little bit more? One more step, for instance?
Yeah. It could
For
be 3m minus 2 over 5.
Okay,
think-
because you see 4 and 10, they have common factors?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was my point. Thank you very much. We rather stop right here, you see? We rather stop right here because even if 4 and 10 have common factors, but look at 3 and 10, they don't have no common factors, right? So we stop right here, okay? It's like, you know, even more telling, even if it was 3m, that's the final answer, even if it was 3m minus 10 divided by 10, don't push the envelope, stop right here, okay? Don't cross out the 10s, okay? Do not cross out the 10s. Do not cross out the 10s, right? That you know, that's wrong, okay? The only stuff we can simplify are the factors, right? The only stuff we can simplify are the factors, nothing else. All right, so I think the class goes up to 12:30. So this is, you know, All right, everybody. So please, you know, right after class, like 3 minutes from now, quiz number 1 will be available. I mean, it's a very simple quiz. You have 5 questions of factoring, etc., etc. But you know, you take a loose paper, you write your name on it, you write question number 1, question number 2, etc. You solve them. You take a picture, or I mean, you scan your paper. You get a PDF file. You go to assignments, and you put your file in there, right? Okay, so you have until Thursday noon to do that. If really you cannot do it on Brightspace and you couldn't do it, you can send it to me. But look, something very important, the quiz is timed. Once you open it, after you open the quiz, don't open it until you are ready. When you open the quiz, 35 minutes later, I have to see your submission, okay? I know when I go to Brightspace, I am able to know when everybody opens the quiz, okay? You cannot open the quiz at noon and then send me your answer at 5 o'clock, okay? That, you know, it's gonna be like a quick 0, okay? So when you open the quiz, you have 35 minutes to submit. Now, if you get confused about the submission, you can take a picture and you send it to me on, you send it to my email, right? Only if you don't know how to submit that, okay? No later than 35 minutes after you open the quiz. All right, everybody? All right, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day.
I'll see you Thursday.
Thursday.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.